We should be good. All right.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another live stream from Kolossal HQ. Today I will be playing against my arch nemesis, Chris Byer, once again.
Friendly rival.
Friendly rival, if you prefer. And today we'll be playing Hunt the Ravager from Clinton Morris, which will be on Kickstarter April 18th.
Next Thursday.
Yes, a week from this coming Thursday. To learn more about it, as always, subscribe to it on BGG. We're always announcing new stuff, and that's the best place to keep track of it all. A brief overview of the game. Hunt the Ravager is a hidden movement game that plays between two to four players. Today we'll be just playing the two-player game. It is a tale of vengeance. Our character here, the Ravager, was a loyal general to the newly crowned Empress of Japan. She sent him in search of the treasures, the royal regalia, to solidify her rule, and upon retrieving them, murdered him and his entire family and burnt his village to the ground. What she did not know is that he had kept one of the treasures he found for himself, the amulet of the Ravager, which has brought him back from the underworld to seek bloody vengeance and justice. And he's going to do so by retrieving those treasures and bringing ruin to the realm to destabilize her rule. Part of what sets it apart is that it is in fact a two-player, it offers a two-player hidden movement game, which is a rare thing.
I think it's probably important to point out it was designed as a two-player hidden movement game, so that is where the
main focus
of the game is. It supports up to 4 players, where you can play an asymmetrical 3-player version.
There's a team version and an asymmetrical version.
But the core of the game is a 2-player asymmetrical.
Well, I don't know that I would say asymmetrical.
Sorry, I misspoke. A 2-player hidden movement game, which is rare.
Exactly.
Maybe doesn't exist.
Now, when you see us argue over symmetry and asymmetry in this, it's interesting because it actually has both. The sides are asymmetrical in that one player will be playing the Ravager during a round and roaming around the map here, as you see, trying to return stolen treasures to his lair and destroying regions as he goes, or locations. And the other player will play as the Empress, commanding her samurai as they try to hunt the Ravager. So that, of course, is asymmetry. However, then you switch. So the game is going to take place. There's going to be what we call vendettas. And a vendetta is your time spent as the Ravager. In the 2-player game, the Empress will put out 3 treasures spread across the map, and the Ravager player will have an opportunity to try to steal each of those and acquire points for each treasure successfully returned and each location ruined through their activities. Additionally, points for rage that are retained. But once we do that, then we're going to switch sides. So the individual vendettas are asymmetrical as the sides are, but the overall play experience will have symmetry because we will do the same thing.
Right.
And then it'll be the case of which side did, or which player performed the best in both roles. And so the same can be said for the asymmetrical 3-player version, in which each role is different, but each player will have one opportunity to fulfill each role.
Right.
So just to give you a brief overview, as I said, we're going to play, the game is going to be 2 vendettas. Vendettas are made up of rounds, and rounds are made up of turns. I will be the Ravager first. I will be in secret, using my handy-dandy scorecard that I'll show you a little more. And here, oh, we've got one.
Wow. Really bad shot. You'll see it in closer.
Right, we're going to have it right
We'll
up
have
there.
to move the camera over back here so he can show you how he's moving.
Right, and I will try to put it up there in front of the camera so you can, for those of you keeping score at home. Now,
and then when you switch, the camera view will be that of the hunter. So
right,
the viewers will get the experience of playing as both the Ravager and the hunter.
Exactly. So we'll go over the locations, or the way that the structure of the game works. So for the setup of the vendetta, one player takes all the Ravager components, which I have, which is this lovely player screen.
Yeah, this can go right now.
Yeah. Each player will take a score sheet because the Empress player will have the opportunity to save a certain amount of points. A set of 5 rage tokens, which I'll explain their purpose shortly. 13 footprint tokens, which for the purposes of today we will be substituting with these yellow cubes simply because they show up on camera.
It's easier to see from the top-down view.
Right.
But normally they're these little blue and, I guess, brown tokens.
Yeah.
With little footprints to mark the 2 different players.
Right. And so then we will set the board up. We'll shuffle the location deck and place it out in a 7x5 grid, as you see. We've already done this randomly. And then the Empress player will take 3 samurai, which would not yet be placed on the board, their set of exhaustion tokens, and or readiness tokens, I should say, and then a treasure setup card, and the 3 treasures. We have the time round tracker here along the 5 because each round has a maximum of 5 turns within it. So we'll go ahead and proceed. If you want to move to the other side, I'll start just running through the setup.
Transition. We're going to run a quick Happy On commercial while we get the cameras rearranged here. So.
A butterfly garden requires a vision and a caring hand. As a gardener, you'll need to balance the size and number of your flower beds and attract butterflies to the flowers with the best nectar. Papillon is a tile drafting and laying game for 2 to 4 players, where each attempts to gain the most nectar by planting fields of flowers and attracting butterflies to their garden. Under your care, the butterfly gardens in Papillon will grow and thrive.
And we're back. Okay.
All right, so Buyer has moved to the other side of the table, and we're going to run you through the round setup. So before that, though, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about how these grid locations work and whatnot. We have a few different locations, which I will be moving across trying to stay hidden, and some of which provide actions that the Empress will be trying to hunt the Ravager down with. So one of them is a shrine.
You can get closer. There you go.
Okay. So the shrine provides an action that the Empress player can use when one of her samurai are an intersection adjacent to it. And they will perform one of their actions, and they can ask the Ravager if they've been in any specific space on the grid during the current round. If the Ravager, who must answer honestly, has been in that space, they place a footprint marker on the space in question, and now the Empress has the information about where they've been in that spot. Next up are lakes. Get this up here. So now lakes do not provide an action, but they provide both a benefit and a barrier for the Ravager. So the Ravager cannot, in their turn, on a space on the grid that is occupied by a lake location. However, they can move across it because they can move once or twice per turn. So whenever the Ravager would move on to a lake location, they must put a footprint marker on it. Now, obviously, they did not end there, but they can use it both. It's a problem in that the Empress is aware that they've been there, but also it can be used to trick the Empress into wondering exactly where you've gone. So there's a bit of a mind game there as well. Let's see. Next up is the village. So you have the village here. The village provides an action where if one of the Empress samurai is at an intersection adjacent to it, they can take their action and ask the Ravager if they've been in the village space or any location adjacent to it, including diagonal, this round, except for locations that are ruined or war-torn, which I'll explain in a moment. The Ravager must place footprint tokens on any of those spaces which they have been in during the current round. Now, I mentioned the exception of ruined and war-torn. So first I'll explain war-torn. There are some locations that have already been destroyed prior to the game. They come into play that way. They are the same on both sides. These spaces, the Ravager, if they were currently located on that space, they will not have to reveal that as a footprint. Or if they had moved through it, they wouldn't have to place a footprint on it. Likewise, one of the ways that the Ravager propels his quest for vengeance is they can ruin a location adjacent to their position at the start of a turn prior to moving. If they do that, they flip a non-lake and non-war-torn location to its back side, so it will look war-torn, and then it provides 1 VP to them at the end of the vendetta as well. But and then, of course, it can't be looked into using the village action.
Can you take that cord and run it back?
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. So then we have the countryside, which is just normal land out here that provides neither an action nor benefit to either player, other than the fact that the Ravager can ruin it to power their action.
Yep.
And those are the various locations on the board. So we'll go ahead and do our setup. The first part of the setup for the vendetta is that I must choose my hidden lair. Now I know that he gets to place 3 treasures anywhere on the grid that he wants, and I'll have to be attempting to steal each of them once. So I can look at the layout of the map for this particular game and try to guess roughly where I think he's going to place them, keeping in mind things like lakes and villages and whatnot, and then choose my the location of my lair accordingly. I cannot choose a war-torn location or a lake for my lair. So let me look around here. I think we will go with this. Alright. So that's gonna be alright. Avert your eyes, buyer. So for those of you playing at home, this is where on the grid my lair is located.
Do you want me to close my eyes and you can point on the big grid?
Certainly.
I couldn't read.
Certainly.
All right, go ahead.
Right here. Okay, you can look again,
All
Bob.
right.
All right. For those of you who have one of us in your Kolossal HQ Streams Fantasy League, you should also be aware of the update that I, in fact, was victorious last week in Papillon.
Ham actually won by 10 points. My math was wrong. Let's move past.
Yes. As those of you who may have watched the stream on Board Game Spotlight are aware, so
Yes.
Update your scores accordingly. All right, so now that I've chosen my lair, that will remain my lair for all 3 rounds of the vendetta. Now the Empress will place the treasures.
2?
3.
3?
Yeah.
There's only 2 in the
2-player, yeah. So or in the 4-player. So now he'll place his 3 treasures. Now he has 5 defense points. If you want, I can hand it over there.
I got it. Maybe.
And those are that's the cost in defense points for each location on the grid that he wishes to place one of the treasures. This is largely to prevent the obvious placement of always just parking them in the corners and creating a very, very difficult situation at all times for the Ravager. So certainly they can afford to put 1 in a corner if they wish, but any defense points that the Empress does not spend with treasure placement, they actually will add to their grand total when totaling up points for the game. So it's this push-pull of, man, I really want to put these treasures in hard to capture spots, but is it worth it when I could keep a few extra points for myself? So we'll see what he decides. Oh, and they cannot be placed adjacent to each other, and they cannot be placed on lakes. So while he
all the
ponders,
cities are on this, or the villages are on this side of the board, which is annoying.
Oh, there's
we got
one
water
right
here and
there.
here, so
Ugh.
put that there. So that's going to be 2 points.
Okay.
I can't place on these? Or,
Correct.
Okay. So that basically...
Or no, I'm sorry, you can.
was
Just
gonna
not,
say-
just not
I was
lakes.
gonna say that
And not
eliminates-
adjacent to another treasure. So you have to leave a little room.
Alright, we'll put one... Oh boy. I think I need to do a 2-2-1 here. So we'll do that
So
one.
much pressure.
We'll do that one. So I'll have 1 point left over.
Okay, so go ahead and record that.
So defensive bonus of 1.
So now the next step is he does not know which treasure I'm going to attempt to steal first, only that over the course of my vendetta I'm going to attempt to steal all 3, 1 in each round. He now will have to deploy all 3 of his samurai to the grid. Now the samurai move they move from intersection to intersection. They don't actually, under normal circumstances, get placed on the locations themselves, which the Ravager actually moves from location to location. Now, once he's placed them, I'll explain a little bit in greater detail how the samurai take their actions and what they actually do. Okay. So again, as you can see, he's placed at 3 intersections. He's trying to provide a certain amount of coverage for all of the treasures, depending on which one I choose to steal. So the way that a round, as I said, a round is made up of turns. The way that a turn is going to break down is the first thing that happens is the Ravager will move. So I will... For the round purposes, I will take a treasure, so I will grab one of them.
That should make that a little easier to see.
Oh, I see,
Where
for
my
the
guys are
camera.
from the top-down view.
So once I select a treasure, I will record that on my scorecard and place a footprint on that spot to indicate, as a reminder for everyone, that that's where I began and where everybody knows where it started. Then the Ravager move step occurs. Now, the Ravager must move 1 or 2 spaces on their turn. During the first turn, the Ravager is not required to pay a rage or ruin a location to move, and the Ravager can move 1 or 2 locations. Now they can move off 1 and move back, which is different than not moving because it would provide another clue as to footprints that were out there for the players to find. However, once future rounds, after the first round, the Ravager must always either spend one of their 5 rage, which are worth 1 victory point at the end, and then move 1 or 2 spaces. Oh, my giant hand's getting in the way. There we go. Or they must ruin a location adjacent to where they began their turn. Now, that has nothing to do with where they wind up. They could ruin the location that they began on, or one that's adjacent to it that is not already war-torn, or a lake, and then think of it as them powering their movement for the turn. So this will give the Empress player some clue as to where they were and what they're up to and where they may be going. It's also a way for the Ravager player to disable certain locations, say villages and shrines, that are problematic for them. So once the Ravager players recorded their move, and they record on their sheet 1 or 2 locations, then the Empress, it's the Samurai move step. So the Samurai, as I said, they'll move along these intersections. Each Samurai moves 1 or 2 intersections. Once the player has moved all of their Samurai, each Samurai, in any order of their choosing, will get the opportunity to take an action. Now, the actions can consist of a few things, and as I mentioned earlier, the shrines and the villages provide specific location-based actions for searching for the Ravager. However, the Samurai can, when the Empress player takes an action with the Samurai, they flip over their readiness token to its exhausted side, as an indicator that that one has done something. And they can track the Ravager, which is to simply search the one space adjacent to the intersection that they're at, So you pick one. It cannot be war-torn, but they can just search one of the spaces adjacent. They can also
That's a footprint one, right?
Yes, that would
So
provide a
if
footprint.
you had been there, you're gonna have to tell me that.
Correct. And of course, it can't be war-torn or ruined. Now, they can also do a forced march, which means take a third move. So they can move again one space. Of course, that's their only action at that point. And they can hunt the Ravager. So now let's say he thinks he knows where I am, or he's willing to take a risk. When you take a Hunt the Ravager action, you flip the readiness token, and you pick one of the 4 spaces adjacent to the samurai. Well, a space adjacent, because they can actually move all the way to the edge of a grid, even. And then you place it directly on the location, saying, Hunt the Ravager here. Now, the Ravager, if they are there, they must reveal it. If that's the case, they've been defeated. They turn that treasure in. They failed to capture it, and we will the round is over, and we'll set back up for a new round with me stealing him placing the samurai, and me stealing another treasure, and so on. Unless, of course, it was the third round of the vendetta, which we'll switch sides. Or if it was the second one, the game would be over. Now, if I am not there, that that samurai will be stuck there temporarily. So on the player's next turn, the only action available to a samurai who is hunted is to either hunt the same space again or return from the hunt, which is an action that can only be taken from one that has performed a failed hunt action, in which case that samurai is returned to any corner of the location on where they were performing the hunt action. So it's very bad to miss on a hunt, but sometimes you have to take that chance. Those are the available actions to the samurai. So once the samurai has taken all 3 of their actions, assuming that the Ravager has not yet been defeated, we go to the Ravager declares step, in which they will, if they are sitting on their lair currently, declare that as so, the treasure is captured, the round is ended, and we will proceed to a new round, unless, of course, it's the end of the 3rd round, and thus a new vendetta or the end of the game.
So let's get started.
We're ready to go.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're set up, so you're going to pick a treasure?
I am. What do I think? Oh, one rules change that you are not aware of yet, Buyer. The Ravager does not have to ruin a location on their first turn, but they can, optionally, if they so choose.
Right.
All right. So I am going to steal this centrally located treasure right here at D3. And now it's time for my moves. So I am going to ruin a location, because this village is just too juicy. And it is 1 point. And then I will go.
So you started here, you took this treasure, you ruined this location,
Yeah.
and then you moved. So you're there.
I'm
You
in.
can't stop there.
Correct.
So
I'm
you
in one
had
of
to
the
have moved
8
off of it.
spaces surrounding the lake. And for those of you tracking at home,
And the town can't see into the wasteland.
correct.
But it could.
A
it can see
shrine
all these
can.
Shrines
yes.
can. Okay. So that guy's in a terrible position. No, this is fine, actually. Maybe. Probably not. Alright, so I'm going to have this guy move. 1, 2. This guy will move. 1, 2. That should cover most of those spots. And then this guy. Nearby shrine or anything useful. This guy's gonna go 1-2. Just
You
in
think
case,
I might
just
have-
in case you double back.
Think I might have doubled back on myself?
Yeah. So
That
for
doesn't
actions,
sound like me.
Boy, this guy's gonna use the town
Okay.
to spotlight around here.
All right. So you flip the corresponding readiness
That's number
token
2.
down. You see all of the footprints that you can see from him.
Okay.
I mean, that really only got you 2 spaces. I guess 3 spaces.
1, 2, 3, 4.
No, it won't reach here.
Oh, yeah.
It simply covers those. And it doesn't cover the war-torn or the ruined.
One. I'm gonna hunt.
I am not there.
Okay.
I knew you were just so untrusting. You would believe that I'm the sort of man who would go right back to where he started.
Which means you are hiding in this general area. I'm gonna force move this guy
1 more space?
down this direction. They can't be in the same
Correct.
vertex,
They can
correct?
move through each other, but they cannot occupy the same intersection.
Okay, so that's my 3 moves.
Okay, I am not currently on my lair.
So now we're on round 2.
So we
yeah?
move the marker to turn 2, and you flip your readiness tokens up, and I have to ruin a location or spend a rage. So,
Now, what would happen in a situation? Oh, you'd have to spend a rage.
Right.
Assuming that there was nothing to ruin, you would be forced to spend a rage. right?
exactly. Additionally, if I find myself in a position where I have nothing to ruin and I am out of rage, then my vendetta ends immediately, regardless of
You just
which
run,
round.
You just run out of juice.
Exactly. I've lost the will to carry out my vengeance. All right, so
Maybe next week. I gotta take a nap.
ugh, so exhausting. All right, so man, it's so funny. See, part of what makes this game so great is looking at it and knowing he doesn't know where I am, but I know, and I'm like, oh, am I right there? Am I all the way across the board? It's very interesting. All right, so believe it or not, I'm gonna break one of my own rules, and I'm gonna spend a rage to keep this move relatively secret for now. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and move. Now that's costing me a victory point to do so. And let's see here. We're gonna go. All right, avert your eyes. For those of you keeping track, that is where I've moved. All right. I do not have to tell him whether I've moved 1 or 2 spaces. All right.
Okay.
So, samurai move.
Yep. So you spent a rage to hide, which means that's probably pretty close.
No, it wouldn't mean that. Maybe that's just what I want you to think.
I'm gonna move this guy 2. 1, 2. Now when I start, I can't. If I search just like the basic search action,
You can only choose
does
one.
that reveal a footprint in these?
It does not.
So the only way to do that was with a shrine.
Correct.
Well, that's inconvenient.
Yes. But I mean, this is a bit of a desert over here for the Ravager eating land too, because I can't eat war-torn, I can't eat ruined, and I can't eat lakes.
I'm gonna move this guy here. I'm gonna assume that this round's probably not gonna go well, and I'm just gonna try and narrow down your lair location, and then that guy's stuck there. So actions, I'm gonna move this guy off.
You can either, those are your only two options, are to do that or hunt the same spot. Okay.
This guy's going to shrine.
All right. So you can look into any one space and ask me if I've been there.
Were you here?
I have been to that space this round.
Did you mean to say this round?
Well, it is this round. It has to be this round.
It could have been last round.
No, we're dealing with turns. There's rounds and
All right.
turns.
This vendetta.
Yeah. Because the footprints will come off before I steal my next treasure.
I'm gonna hunt here.
I am not there.
Okay. That's it for me. So,
Okay. Ravager declares that's a treasure capture.
yep.
Hooray! So that's going to be 4 points for me. All right. So now we remove the footprints. We reset the turn marker. He places his samurai again, and then I will choose which treasure to try and steal this time.
Alright, so hang on. We went. D3 was where the treasure was, right?
Yes.
Presumably down. And you spent 2 moves. You didn't cross water.
And I didn't end up here.
And you didn't end there.
That's all you know.
Put that there. Put that guy there. That should give me enough coverage for both of those. Alright.
Let me see what to do. And I feel like this one's a little trickier, and I would be unwise to leave that as my
That's your final one?
as my final one when you're like pinch, pinch, pinch. All right. So we are gonna go for this one.
Okay.
So A4. Now I have to give a little thought to my plans here. Well, 1, 2, 3, yeah. So it's going to be a little tight. There are no villages around here, but I think I am going to go ahead and ruin a location. It is a little scary because I could get hungry. And I'm going to move. Oops. All right, avert your eyes. All right. Do your worst, sir. You know I've moved on to the pond
Yeah.
and off.
And then off of it.
And there are only 8 spaces I could be.
7. This is a pond.
Oh, ooh, 7.
Doesn't really help.
You could go hog wild and hunt 3 out of the 7.
I could hunt 3 out of the 7, except
A miss is
a miss
catastrophic.
means I'm dead. Because then you're going. I mean, here's what's happening in my head right now: is that you went boop boop, banking on me going hunt hunt hunt, and then you're just gonna laugh maniacally as you go scoot scoot and then dunk.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure that's what's happening in my head. I don't know if that's reality.
No, that's exactly what I have planned. Although you know that I'm not dunking there. That might be the platform for my dunking.
Why would I know that?
Because you hunted that on the last turn when I...
Oh, and yeah,
and I wasn't
didn't catch
there.
You. Was it there? I thought it was here.
There's so many places it's hard for me to remember.
It's really hard for me to remember is the problem. No, I think it was there.
It was there. It's not hard for me to remember.
So that actually eliminates one more space.
Well, it eliminates it as my lair.
Yeah. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to move to here.
Okay.
I'm going to leave the other 2 where they are.
All right.
This guy's going to search here.
Okay.
This guy's going to hunt here.
No! Almost broke out.
All right. So that's that.
So disappointing.
Delicious.
Wah, wah.
So now I have to position around that one. If you want to smash something, it's probably that village because there's no water there. So you want to cover your tracks.
So as you can see, that was tough terrain to get out of there.
Disappointing. So if you smash that and come up, potentially that city will, or village will cover that. I'm still not positive on where your lair is.
Well, I do try to disguise it.
I mean, that is part of the game, right? I don't think you're that way. 2 away from there.
Oh, so that's how it's going to be.
All right.
All right, so we know that I'm stealing this. We're beginning at D5. Well, I feel like that village has got to go.
As expected.
I see that you're located on multiple shrines there.
Yes.
So the peekaboo will be very real.
The eye of Sauron will be upon you.
Indeed. Alright, so let's see here. Alright, so look away. Alright, do your worst, sir.
There. Alright, first thing I want to do is I want to use this action.
Well, you have to move all your guys first.
I don't want to.
No more movement, huh?
They're going to stay where they are. So he's going to use this to spotlight around.
I have not been in any of those spaces this turn.
Okay.
So go ahead and flip down number 3.
Number 2 is going to shrine here.
I have not been there this round.
Okay. Number 1's going to hunt here.
I am not there.
Okay.
All right. Move that down. I am going to eat a location.
Coin flipped it. Came up tails this time.
Now I'm going to move.
Yep. Splash, splash. What is this? Oh, this is from last round, right?
Oh, yes. All right. Avert your eyes. All right. Your move, sir.
I can't get to it. I have to assume I'm too far away.
Well, don't forget Force March.
That doesn't help when you're sitting on your lair.
If
I assume you're sitting on your lair. Yeah, it's in this general vicinity. One, 2. Sky. Yeah, I'm just gonna scramble to the side of the map. This guy's gonna hop off.
Okay.
That's 1. 3. 2 will hunt here on the off chance that you are there.
I'm not there.
Okay. And then 3 is gonna force march to here.
Okay.
And that's it for me.
I dunk.
That's what I thought.
And my lair was C5. You actually caught me in the second round setting on my lair. I just beeline to it. I was like, so
Okay.
now what's funny about that is none of these rounds went past the second turn. And I played a very I want to score quickly game, but I actually was tempted to stay out in the field and continue ruining locations because when he missed on the first round with that hunt, I know he's down a samurai. So I could have been greedy and tried to get more points, but in this case, I just opted to go straight to the lair. So that's a little bit of the nuance in how you can play there. Whew, so I managed to get 2 of them. So I scored 4 and 4 for 2 of those. I have 4 rage remaining, and I ruined 1, 2, 3, 4 locations. Alright, so my time as the Ravager earned me 16 points. So, well, 8 and then 4 and 4. So now we are going to switch roles and see if I can do any better or do good enough to defeat him.
Treasures.
Man, I thought I was like, when you're like, I can't get there. I'm like, no, you
No,
can't
of
get
course
there.
not.
Other than that guy who can totally get there. There you go.
The turn that I hunted here instead of here, you were here, right?
No, I ran straight to here. I started here, I ran to here. I actually ran over my base. And then I tapped up here and walked diagonal back.
Oh, on the way. Okay.
Yeah, that was a bait. Here you go. Here's the 5 rage tokens. All right, I'll need the setup card. So, what do I? Oh, and we've already turned all of the ruined locations back to their proper setting. So first, you're going to select a layer location.
Do you want to adjust that camera a little bit so it's more here?
Say when?
Well, I was going to say more in front of you, so it's kind of your point of view. Alright, you can see right there.
Is that good?
Good enough.
I can't. Okay.
We got some wicked awesome glare.
Yes. That's what our amateur Twitch streaming studio is able to provide. Yeah, we're trying to get better. Okay, so you'll choose a spot for your lair.
Don't I get to see where the treasures are first?
No, you select your lair, then I place the treasures.
Oh.
And then my samurai.
Okay. Got it. Now I'm not going to show the camera because you guys get to be
you get my point of view
hunters
this time. Yeah. Okay, so you only spared yourself 1 point last time, right?
Correct.
Alright, so I am going... What am I doing? We're going to place 1 here, which is 1 point. We're going to place... I can't do that. Can do that. 1 here, which is 1 point, and 1 here. So I'm gonna preserve 2 points.
Okay.
We'll
so
see.
The score to beat is 18.
That is correct.
All right.
So let's see. We had 5, and I have defense bonus of 2. All right. So now I have to place my samurai, and then you will select a treasure to steal.
Oh, I got a new follower.
All right. Thank you for joining. Oh, man. I think we're going to go like this. All right. So now you will pick a treasure to steal.
Yep. Now, for the sake of argument, with this new rule that I didn't know that existed, so I can choose to ravage on my first turn.
Yes.
And I can choose to ravage the place that I'm standing on.
Yes.
So the places where you put villages, I could just straight up destroy the village and run away with the treasure.
You could.
Okay. Just making sure I understand this correctly.
I understand.
Okay. We're going to start with the one down there.
What? The easy one?
I mean, yes.
Weak.
I'm going to ravage that village.
What? No.
That is D5 was the start.
Yes.
And then we are going to go... Okay.
All right. So this samurai is going to move 2. samurai is going to move 1. All right, actions. He's going to ask you if you have been here.
I have.
Interesting. So, now that we know where you're at, I guess we have to hope that's not your lair, or I guess you'll choose not to dunk this time.
Wouldn't that be the most meta thing? To choose the same layer that you have?
Well, this was my lair right here. See, now I was C5. So.
Oh, we got chat. What's chat say?
Can you hold treasure tokens closer to camera to see in detail? Certainly. Go ahead and hand one up here. So that's the side that you place them with. I'm trying to get that better. And then there's the 4 VP indicator when you've successfully captured it. Oh, somebody's saying that they played Clinton's first version of this and love the samurai skin to it now. Awesome. So, where did I steal this one from? It was on this one. It was right there. Yeah, that's great. I
would have given you this one.
Yeah, no, that's great. Clinton's real excited. He's a great guy, and it's been fun working with him. Okay, so I guess it's forced march time, huh? All right, round 2, or turn 2. Go ahead. So now you can spend a rage. I do know where you're standing.
You know exactly where I am. So I'm gonna ravage some stuff here real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and smash this one. Jesus.
Awesome. Drake Finney, the same one who was saying that they said that first prototype is on their shelf, and this one's going to be as well. Well, thank you. We appreciate it. We know Clinton is super excited. So definitely spread the word. It's always fun working with first-time designers because you get so much enthusiasm from them and their friends and family as well. So we're just hoping we can help bring it to a larger audience so everybody can see how great it is. Can you feel me closing in, Buyer?
I don't like that.
Yeah, too much pressure. There's no flowers and butterflies in this one, pal.
No, it's only cold, calculated vengeance. Revengeance. Alright.
Our team, the Revengers.
The Revengers.
What? We're moving on to the lake.
You already know where I am.
Yeah. I mean, thanks for reducing the total number of possible spaces, I suppose. Did you spend a rage, or were you ruining it?
I ruined this one.
You ruined it, huh?
Okay.
So... Alright, I'm going to move here. Oh, hello. I'm going to move here and here. Punt here.
Nope.
It's a shame. I really wanted it to be the same space. Punt here. C4.
Jackpot.
Woo!
I really debated going back to here.
Yeah, well, I was going to strongly consider that depending on how these hunts went. There is no escaping the clutches of the vile and cunning Empress. Foolish Ravager.
Okay. That
Turn 1 spotlight was a little disappointing.
The Eye of Sauron.
And
Just bam.
by a little disappointing, I mean incredibly disappointing.
All right. Well, try again.
Okay.
So for the purposes of this stream, the yellow cubes are representing the footprint tokens, the tracks. These are fine in person, but without any sort of HD cameras, they just weren't showing up really well.
It's just a little hard to see.
So in real life, there's no problem seeing them, but we wanted to make it a little more obvious for all of you watching.
Do I have to?
Oh no,
place your guys?
I have to place my guys here.
Let me tell you which treasure I'm doing, and then place all your guys.
All right then. So. All right, there you go. Do your worst. Now, in fairness to Bayer here, as the lead developer on this, I've played it far more than he has. Plus, I have a blacker heart than he does, so I'm sort of naturally inclined towards such games. But my successful hunt of him last time was a bit of a gamble.
Smash those.
Ugh, crushes the shrine.
So that is F3 for the start of the round. And then I will move.
So what do I think? You didn't touch the pond because you would have to have stopped on it. I'd be shocked if you're going that way. So you can get 2 out. But you are relatively sneaky. So we will move back to here. Move to here. And number 1 will not move at all.
Okay.
So number 1's going to use the temple. See if we can just bullseye you and
Sure.
put a quick end to this whole mess. Have you been here?
I have not.
That's a shame. That is a shame. All right. Number 3 is going to track. Have you been here?
Nope.
All right. Number 2 is going to hunt here. Are you dead?
I'm not dead.
Oh, no!
Alright. So, my turn.
I strongly disapprove of this
I'm
outcome.
gonna smash this town.
The old head fake. Respect.
And I will move. Okay.
So, Drake wants to know also, it makes sense. So, which do you prefer, being the samurai or the Ravager? I used to love destroying the lands just to be evil. Evil is good, right? Man, I like them both because this is my kind of game. I grew up playing Scotland Yard, and I have like a 30-plus year streak of not getting caught as Mr. X. So there's something that I really love playing as the Ravager. Not even destroying the lands, just the sneakiness of it.
I prefer the Ravager.
Yeah.
Hunter is just constantly stressful.
See, most people would say it'd be the other way. They'd be like, "Oh, the stress of it all closing in on you," right? But I like the cunning involved. The Empress, when you're hunting, it's entirely different. It's almost pure math. It's like cold calculating. But with the Ravager, you're trying to bait that logic. You're trying to turn that logic against itself, and that's the fun side for me, even though I enjoy both. All right, so let's see here. One, two. 1, 2. Cannot move. So actions. Number 1 is going to use the village. Have you been here or here this round?
No.
I didn't think so, but better to check and see. All right. Number 3 is going to use the shrine.
Okay.
I don't think you're gutsy enough for that play. I don't think you got it in you, boy, to come right here. So we're gonna see. Have you been here?
Nope.
Okay, didn't think so. Return from the hunt. Are you dunking?
I am not.
I did not think so. Good to still be alive. All right, advance it.
I'm going to smash this.
Just gonna tear up the eastern regions, huh? You got a lot of points. You got to make a lot of points
on the board.
Oh, so how greasy were you when I moved right over here? A little greasy.
All right.
Huh. So you could have been in any of those 8.
I could have just stayed here the entire time.
Well, bounce. That's certainly possible. He always felt like he was hunting and playing Marco Polo in a pool by yourself. That's pretty funny. Yeah.
Exactly how it feels.
Okay.
Play Marco Polo when everybody's staying outside the pool.
Yeah, that's called fishy out of water. All right, so I have to admit, you've got me a little puzzled here. One, two. Okay. Number 1, use the village. Have you been in any of those 3 spaces this round?
Oh, yes. Yes, I have. I've been there. And I've been there. Oh, spoiler alert, I've been there. This village that can see these things,
Yeah.
I've been there.
I see. Three. Use this shrine. Have you been here?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
It's a tough one. Not sure I want to move him. Burn down most of my search points.
Yes. Yes, I have.
Respect. I will forced march number 2. All right.
Dunk.
Dunk! Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was round 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Well played. You were very sneaky that time. I'll give you that.
Do you need to consult the footprints before I take them away?
No, I've got it. I'm troubled by them, honestly. I don't know what nature of evil you were up to when you were over here. Okay. So let me do some calculations here. That's almost certainly going to happen. Oops.
Obviously, I'm taking that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and.
Oh yes,
run the
we've definitely reversed and ran over our own tracks. Just throw people off. That's a classic move right there. Obviously, you must have played quite a bit of this early on with Clinton, because that is a dirty trick that we strongly endorse.
Okay.
So you scored 1 treasure. You could potentially score this one. That gave you a 13. You've ruined enough. This is troubling.
I've ruined enough, and I haven't spent a rage.
This is troubling. I'm not gonna like this outcome here. So, you did not cross the pond. You ruined that, which of course makes sense. And then I'm a little torn about where I think your lair is. I don't think you did that. He's gonna move to here. Move to, do we want to do that? Yes, we do want to do that. He's not going to move. Alright, so he's going to use the shrine.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been here?
I have.
I'm almost afraid of that answer.
You can put the footprint up in there.
Yeah, you've been there. So,
So what did
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2, 5, 8 places you could be. I have 2 guesses. I don't think you're going to play around. I think you want to dunk ASAP. Hunt. Ugh, terrible. Hunt.
Hope.
Oh, that's bad. Okay.
Dunk.
Dunk. Well played. Well played.
I even went back and I wrote E2 and then wrote E2 again to make you think I moved twice.
I respect that. Nicely done. Ugh.
So that should be
Yeah, that should
just
be
enough.
enough.
That's 4, 8,
13.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19,
19.
20 with my defense bonus of 1.
Oh, yeah. And I only had 18. Because I had 2 treasures, 8 ruin and rage, and 2 points. Look at that.
Well played.
Yes, good game.
I'll start on a new streak now.
Ugh. Man, that second one.
Clearly last week was just a glitch in the
Yeah,
matrix.
sure. That second round of yours just tore me up. Like, I did not know where to go.
So I took the 1
Yeah.
and I went, I don't remember, I basically just went like this with
Just tearing up the line.
just pure points to go around and tear up as much as I could and set myself up for literally going blue
Yeah.
in the final round.
No, I get it. That's what I tried to do in my first round to set up the second one, was burn down stuff. I got greedy placing in relatively easy spaces trying to protect the defense spots. So, that was the chance you take. But that was a good game. It was really close.
Well played.
Yeah, really fun. Let's see what else we have here. Drake says, yes, it hit the table quite a bit. I was so excited for him when I heard you all picked it up. And it was a good game. Trashing the countryside for the win. Yes. So,
Do we have any questions from anyone else?
yeah. Anybody else curious about anything? Or
We'll give the stream a second to catch up.
Sure.
It's,
So while you contemplate your deep questions for Hunt the Ravager.
Give me that camera there real
Sure.
quick. I'll transition back to people mode. Behind the scenes peek there.
There we go. So yeah, that was pretty indicative of what a solid game of Hunt is. Part of what's fascinating is you might think that, say, the Ravager who plays second has an advantage. Like, oh, well, they saw what you did or whatever, but the Empress player has the same advantage. So it works both ways. That's the symmetrical element. So it is the roles that are asymmetrical, but the experience is symmetrical to some extent if we place differently, which we did.
Right.
And
where was your layer?
mine was at C5, yeah.
And I was up in E2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I intentionally tried to avoid this area. So I actually went over here knowing that there was more stuff in an easier position to destroy because I had to get enough points to beat you.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be trapped in this section over here.
Yeah, so definitely it was a tough game. He did very well, and there were those aha moments where you're just like, oh god, the gut-wrenching failure when I knew that you were going to try to score quick. So that's why I hunted immediately. I knew there wasn't much time. It's so funny that it was only one spot away.
Right, I mean, it just happened. I happened to luck out that my layer was one space away from the final treasure.
Yeah. But
because I assumed that you would have figured that I went 2 spaces to try and get as much distance as I could, especially with the round 2, with how much I was just messing around over there.
Yeah, I really thought that you were right in there, so it was a bit of a guessing game. I did not think you went this way.
Yeah.
I thought the first round was total bait after that second round. I'm like, oh, okay. He was just...
It was. If I was going to get out of there at all, I was just going to try and loop around.
Yeah.
And try and score in round 4 or turn 4 or 5.
But yeah, so that's Hunt. We'll be streaming again next Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll do next week. I don't know if do we want to show off another player account?
We'll see. It depends on
how
how far
we
we
might
move.
show the 3.
Yeah.
But probably we'll just do another 2-player version of this.
Well, yeah, for the time constraints and the spatial, our camera setup is.
Yeah, the camera's tricky on this one too.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll probably just do another 2-player for launch week.
Right, but That's the game. As I said, be sure if you're interested to follow it on or subscribe to it on Board Game Geek.
Yep. There's a link on the channel. If you click the banner, you just go right through.
Oh, Drake has another question. Any hints of stretch goals or just straight to product? Well, I mean, certainly there are some stretch
It's a Kolossal
goals.
Kickstarter, so there's going to be stretch goals.
Yeah, I can't give too many details because, of course, we never really know exactly how well a game's going to do. We do try to make sure that our stretch goals, they grow with the product, right? Like we can't just make everything without everybody's support, and so that's where you guys come in and really make it possible for us to. We want to offer a great base game, and then we're just able to grow it with the more backing that we get. So I know that's not the answer you want, but
we can give them a little taste.
Little taste.
A little taste.
Oh, well, you see, here we go.
Maybe a couple more locations.
Maybe. Is that right?
That's it.
Just maybe.
That's the taste.
Wow.
It's the amuse
Look at him go. So apparently Bayer does have a softer heart than I do, but
just
yeah, there are some cool things coming, and hopefully we'll be able to unlock them, and hopefully
that's a good taste.
that's a good taste. Hopefully you'll put us in the experience where it funds even beyond what we expect, and we're hot designing them and developing them with Clinton all the way during the campaign. So you never know, but. Otherwise, like I said, launches April 18th, and tune in next week for another play on Tuesday, and every week for plays of our upcoming games on Tuesday.
Yeah, and I have updated the our streaming schedule, so that's all the way through, I think, the first week of May. So we have Hunt the Ravager next week again, and then we're going to do the new Omen.
Yeah, Heir to the Dunes. Right.
Which is also 2 players, so it'll be another setup like this. Which we're going to do the 2-player game for the first stream, and then the second stream, Ham has developed a solo mode for Omen.
That's right.
That can be played with Heir to the Dunes.
So it's time for my close-up,
He will show off the solo mode for Omen, which has never been done before.
Right, so be sure to keep watching.
Yeah, and if you care about graphic design, I'm going to be streaming that on Thursdays and Fridays. That's also on the schedule.
If you want to see how the pretty things get made. So.
That's it.
Thanks, everybody. I guess we'll see you next week, and thanks for tuning in.